Hi, computer scientists. Welcome back. We are going to work this lesson on making a list that is really useful in a program. So we're going to work on making a user interface, a simple text user interface that allows our users to enter in data and then get some information about it. So that's what we're going to work on today. So let's start with just looking at some of the things our list can do by looking in the interactive shell. So I'm down here in the interactive shell, which is a great place to learn. So I'm just going to call this, I don't like to use the word list because list is a special word in Python. So I'm just going to be, I'm going to call it my list. And I'll start with just a blank one there, okay? So, and we can add, and do you remember how to add to a list? It's dot append. So some things are dot add, and this is dot append in Python. So you might see dot add in other places. And let's just keep it with numbers right now. So I'm just going to be putting some different numbers in my list. And it doesn't really matter which. And let's take a look at some of the things we can do. If I press the tab key, we'll see that we have some options that appear here that we can do. Pop is an interesting method. Pop actually pops off the last item in the list. So for me, that would be a 29. So it'll actually pop it off, and it'll be just an 8 and a 10. Remove is similar, but you have to tell it what to remove. What index. Reverse will reverse the list. Sort is an interesting method. It will sort it from least to greatest. I already have mine sorted though. Okay, we can insert in different locations. Okay, we can count how many things are in our list that match something. We can clear it. Okay, those are some things that we can do with our list. There's also some other functions already built in. So, for example, the sum function will tell us the number of items that are in our list, which is nice because I can say sum my list divided by my list dot. And then what do I want to get here? Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Length of a list is also a function. So I can do that, and I can get the average value in my list. That's pretty neat, right? I can also get a count of how many times a certain number appears. So let's add another 8. And then I can say mylist.count, and let's put in an 8, and you'll see it's 2. I'll put in a 10, and it's 1. I'll put in a 99, and you'll see that occurs 0 times, right? We can get the index that something occurs. Let's see if we can get the index of 10. So it says that 10 returns 1, and you can see that it is in index 1. Remember, the first index is index 0. What happens if I say index of the number 8? Well, there's 2 of them, right? Well, it gives me the first one. Okay. What about if I put in 99? Okay, that's going to give me big fat error, right? So we definitely don't want to call this method in a program unless we know that it's there. So how can we know that something is there? Well, there's lots of different ways we can do this. How about 99 in my list? False. What is 10 in my list? True. So we get to use the keyword in. In simply asks whether or not something is in there. So let's see what we can do with all this to make a pretty cool program. So we're going to make a new file together, and let's print out some stuff to our users. Welcome to, how about our database program. So we'll print that out, okay? We can actually ask them to press any key to continue. I like doing that. Input, press any, or press not any key, but how about this? Press enter to begin. So you'll notice usually when I input, I have to store the results, but I'm not interested in storing any of the results. So if they type some things and press enter, fine, I don't care. I'm not going to take it in. I'm just using that to pause the program. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to present them a user interface that they can do. So we want to create a list for them first. So let's do that. I'll call it data. And we'll start with it blank. And we're going to print some options. So number 1, they can add data to the list. How about we'll call it database? See, it's not going to be a true database program, but database sounds cool, right? All right, next, what else can we do? Well, we can get the average of the data, right? And what else might we be able to do? We can, how about this? We'll say get the count of a data item. So we can tell them how many there are in that, right? And finally, I think what we'll do is we'll get the mode. Now, getting the mode is going to be a little bit more challenging for us, right? But I think that would be nice. Get the mode of the data. That's a good one to get. How about the median, though? Ooh, that would be a good one to do because that'll allow us to use our sort feature. So print 5. How about get the median? So we can get the average. We can count a certain data item. We can get the median. And now when we do that, we're going to have to sort the data, but we'll do that in a temporary place. So how about this? How about number 6? We sort the data. Okay, so we have all this stuff, and I think that's pretty good. Okay. So we'll do a choice, and we've given them a number to choose from. So I'm going to say choice equals, we'll int it since it'll be a number. We'll say enter the number of your choice. I'm missing a quote. And the word input. There we go. So I have to have 2 parentheses at the end there. Okay. Hopefully you can see all that. You know what I just realized? We don't have any way to quit. Let's add one more option to our... I kept thinking of different things I wanted to add more than I imagined, but I'm kind of having fun. So all right, there we go. Now we have the ability to quit, and then we'll take in the choice. We'll enter the number of their choice. Okay. Sometimes it's nice to give them a couple arrows like as prompts, to hit in. There we go. All right, so how are we going to handle this input? Well, we need to do one thing if they do one thing. We need to do another thing if they do another. So that should sound like if, elif, and else, right? So let's do that. So we'll say if choice is equal to 1. Now remember, when we are asking if 2 things are equal in Python, we use 2 equal signs. The single equal sign is actually like an arrow. It's an assignment. So we're assigning what they input into choice. Now I'm asking if their choice is equal to 1. If I didn't int it, I could still do this. I just had to put quotes around it. But we're going to do that. So if their choice is equal to 1, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to add data to the database. So first, let's get the value that they want. So I'll say val is equal to input, and we're doing numbers here only, right? So, maybe a teacher wants to, enter his or her test grades and get an average or some other information about it. So I'll say, and we could add lots of things to this. We could add standard deviation. We could make this a really cool package, couldn't we? Enter the number to add. There we go. So that's how they're going to do that. That's how they're going to add stuff. Now, how do we add it to our list? Do you remember? It's append. So data was the name of our list. Do you remember data? And we'll say data.append. And we'll just append that value right there. And that's it. Okay, elif. So elif is if their choice was something else. Elif, we're going to do choice 2. Now, I want to say I'm actually going to have to go back and tab all this over, but I'm going to wait and do that in a minute because this is only going to work for one trip through, but I want to do that first before we deal with the looping. So elif choice 2 is to get an average of the data. So how do we get an average? We have to add them all up and divide by how many there are. But what if there were only 0 and there was no data in the... What if there was no data in it? Well, then we don't want to try and get an average because we'll get an error. So I'm going to do another if. I'm going to say if len, that's the size of it, right? If len data is equal to 0, print no data entered. So that's going to prevent us from trying to divide by a size of 0, which would, and dividing by 0 is totally not okay, right? I mean, that's boom, 0 division error. You can't divide by 0. Not allowed. Not allowed in computer science. Not allowed in math. All right, that's just bothering me to see that. I want to clear that out. All right, so we have an if within an elif, and that's okay, right? Because we want to make sure that we don't do anything that would cause our program to shut down. All right, otherwise what we're going to do is we're going to print out the sum of the data divided by the length of our data. And that's going to be our average. Make sense? All right, super cool. Okay. Elif, what if their choice was 3? How would we do that? Choice 3 is to get the count of a certain data item. So we'll ask them what item they want. What value should be counted? That's our little prompt there, and we're inting it, so I need 2 parentheses at the end. And then what we're going to do is we're going to print the count of that item. So we'll print. So this is a method, not a function. This is a method that belongs to the list. So data.count item. So that's going to give us the count of how many times that item occurs in our list. So it is a little bit confusing. Remember that you have functions like sum and length, but you also have methods like count and sort and reverse and things like that. So it's difficult to keep straight sometimes. But remember, you don't have to memorize any of this. You can always consult your notes or the documentation, and we'll learn more as we go on about how to look up documentation. Because it's impossible to memorize all different code. Just know that it's out there, and remember that you can, and you'll be able to figure out how. But just simply, going to documentations or even just Googling the question. All right, what was our next choice? We want to get the mode of the data. Ooh, that's a big one. All right, elif choice is equal to 4. So this is where we're going to print out the mode. So the mode is the most frequently occurring number, and I say we can make it a little easier by saying if there's a tie for the most frequent number, then we'll give you that number. Okay? So we're not going to give multiple numbers if it's a tie, or we're not going to say no mode. We're always going to give an answer. So my first thing I'm going to say is that the mode is the first item in the data. Now, don't worry if this one's a little tough for you. I'm just doing it kind of for fun with you. This is a pretty tough method, maybe a little beyond Computer Science 1, but that's okay. We can do it. And you'll get what you get out of it. So I'm going to make the data item, the first item in the data, I'm going to make that the mode. So remember, data bracket 0 is the first item in the list. And I'm going to loop through the list, okay? I'm going to say for num in data. So num is going to take over every single value in data. And I'm going to ask the question. If count, that's a method, not a function. If count num is greater than data.count mode, then mode needs to become that num. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through every item in the list, and we're going to ask the list, how many times does this number occur, right? Every number in the list, we're going to count it. If we ever come to a place where the count of one number is more than the count of what is currently being held as my reigning champion, if you will, for most counts in the data, then we're going to swap them. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking that num and I'm reassigning mode that value. So that's going to give us that mode at the end. And then when we're all done looping, we'll print out the mode. Okay? And there we go. All right, let's see what's next. After mode, we have median. I noticed we have sort. quit as well. So let's make that 8. I'm making some changes here, y'all. 7 is going to be, let's print the data. That's going to be important. We want to be able to do that. So median, number 5 is median. So for the median, what we need to do is we need to sort the data, and then we need to find the middle value. But the problem is that maybe they don't want their data sorted, right? Yeah, maybe they don't want their data sorted. So we need to have a way of doing this where we can sort it without messing up their original data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new list called temp list. And I'm going to say for num in data, that's going to loop through every number in data, temp list.append num. So it's just a temporary thing. We're making this temp list. We need to do this. So we're going to copy all the data from our data set over to some temporary list. Then I can say temp list.sort. That's a method, right? Now that I've got it sorted, I can actually print the middle number. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to say print temp list. Now how do we get the middle number? Well, that's the length of the list divided by 2. So we're going to do the temp list divided by 2. But there is a problem here. Let's take a look at this. What is 8 divided by 2? 4.0. Ooh, that's not good. I don't like that 0.0. So what we need to do is what's called integer divide. So when I do integer divide, if I try and divide this by 2, I'll get 4. Well, what if it was 9? Well, the middle number is still 4. Now, I know in a true median, we should be averaging the 2 middle numbers. Let's not do that right now. I think that's plenty enough information, right? But if you want to add that, you do it. You need to use an if statement here and decide if the number is odd or even or something like that. So I'll let you play around with that if you want to do it. But I'm satisfied. So next we will sort data. So in this situation, they are going to sort it. All right. So elif choice is equal to 6. We'll sort the data. So the way we do that, remember, it's called data.sort. All right. elif choice is equal to 7. That was the one I just added. We're going to print the data. And else, we're going to quit. Well, so how would we quit? Well, the thing is about quitting here is that we would just not do anything. I'll tell you what, let's do elif choice is equal to 8. We're just going to not do anything, so I'm just going to say the word pass. I have to put something, right? So I'll just say pass, like I'm not going to do anything, okay? Else, I'm going to say print invalid selection. So if they did not select one of those numbers, that was an invalid selection. Okay. All right. Let's run this code, and it's only going to work one time, but it'll give us a chance to see just how it looks, and then we'll move the loop. We'll put it inside a loop. All right. I'll call it database. All right. Press enter to begin. Cool. Let me move this up so I can see more, right? Okay, so I have some options. I can add to my database, so I'll add the number 7. Seems to work okay. All right. So I like the way it looks. It looks pretty good. Let's go ahead just one more time. I want to see what happens if I put in the wrong number. 9. It does say invalid selection. That's good. What happens if I do 8? Nothing should happen. Yeah, just passes. Okay, cool. So, and we're about to change that, by the way. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to put this all in a while loop. So I'm going to say while true. Because of that, this whole thing is going to go forever. Now, because true is always true, right? This is just going to keep looping forever. And so now instead of pass, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the word break. And break will break the loop. So while true will just loop forever until someone breaks it. So break is an important word. You'll see pass from time to time. I just used it there because you can't have a branch without having some code in it. And I just wanted something there. So that's why they have pass. But break is a really popular one for break loops. You know what? Actually, I'm going to clear this out. Press enter. Okay, here's our database program. Let's add some data. I'm going to add the number 8. Okay, add some data. Let's do the number 9. I'll add some data. Let's do 2. Add some data. Let's do 4. And I'm trying not to put it in, in any particular order. I'm going to add a couple of numbers that repeat though, so I can do mode. Okay, now let's go ahead and print our data. Cool. There's our data printed, as you can see right here. All right, now that I've got it printed, maybe we could sort it. Okay, so it says we sorted it. Let's print it now. 2, 4, 7, 8, 8, 9. Okay, cool. Let's get the average. There's our average. I'd like to count how many 8s there are. It says there are 2. Cool. Let's get the median. The median is 8. That makes sense. Because if you look at the printed data, 8 is the middle. And let's get the mode. The mode is 8. And let's add some more stuff to our data. Let's add, I'm going to add a couple 9s. Actually, I add like 3 of them. Let's print the data now. Let's get the median, see if it can do that without, changing our data, because remember we made a temporary one. Cool. It should say that it was 9 now. Yeah, good. Let's see if it gets the mode to be a 9 now. Good. We should be able to count. How about 9? Let's see. How about 99? That should be a 0. Good. And we'll sort the data one more time and print it. All right. So pretty cool database. There's some things we could do to make this better for sure. Like I would think I really kind of feel like we need a couple print line statements at the end to kind of space this out. But that's a pretty useful database, I think. We can do a lot of things with it. I hope you enjoyed this kind of thing. One thing I want to point out, when I did the while true, did you notice, I'm not sure if I said it, I highlighted everything and hit the tab key. That's what made it indent, okay? But I have to indent all of that. Okay, so after all of that is done, I think what I'm going to do is just add a blank print line right here. So I'll put just that. I think that's going to make it look a little cleaner so that when I do things, let's see here. Let's see if we can't get the average. It should say no data entered. Yeah, I like that blank line there. That's gonna be a lot better for us. Okay, super cool. So that's the end of today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to be moving into some pretty important stuff. Big changes coming up. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you.